thanks for taking the time. I've seen your insane schedule. You just came back from from a big tour with Creed. You're just about to leave for Tremonti Sing Sinatra and then Tremonti Solo and then Alter Bridge. So my
Yeah,
question is, with such an insane schedule and so many different projects, how do you find balance and how do you manage to juggle all that?
just kind of stay busy. I don't have days where I just sit around watching TV. I'll tell you that much. It's just when I'm on tour with Creed, I'm practicing the Sinatra stuff. I'm also relearning the Tremonti stuff for the upcoming tour and writing the Alter Bridge stuff. When I was off in October, I recorded a bunch of songs for Alter Bridge. So we'll be ahead of the game in March. So it's just looking forward and making sure I'm always prepared for the next step.
So you're working parallel on various things, preparing for the other, well, one is still going and stuff.
Absolutely.
How was the Creed tour before we start talking about your new record? It's been hugely successful. You've been welcomed back with open arms everywhere.
Yeah, it's been nuts. Creed tour was, um, I mean, it was all sold out. Every show sold out, so it was pretty. Uh, we don't take it for granted.
Is it weird to tour with so many different people? As I imagine when you tour with one band, then the dynamic is completely different, and with the next band you go on tour, it's a lot of different people.
Yeah, well, the tour I'm on now, I'm with a bunch of guys that played with Frank Sinatra. So these are older gentlemen. So it's definitely a different vibe, but I love it. It's classy, and the Creed stuff, we get treated well because the venues are so big. We have big dressing rooms, and I get to have my family out there, and you know, um, they get to enjoy these big. A lot of times, Live Nation will bring out puppies or basketball hoops or go karts, to keep us entertained.
Cool. When you started Tremonti, the solo project, as far as I understand it, it was to use the riffs and the more heavy stuff that you wouldn't use with Creed in the very beginning. Is that true?
Well, it was the stuff that I couldn't use in Alter Bridge at the time. It was riffs that were more, it was songs that were more speed metal based that wouldn't fit with these guys. So that's when I started Tremonti with those kind of ideas. But that being said, Tremonti's not a speed metal band. It's just a band that has those moments. And now I just kind of, whenever I write something, it kind of gives me, I intuitively know kind of where to put it.
Hmm. But am I right to say, like, you as a guitar player, your heavy side, your love for the heavier stuff never comes out more than when doing Tremonti stuff?
Yeah. The heaviest stuff is definitely in the Tremonti project for sure.
Let's start talking about the new record. The end will show us how.
Yeah.
It will be
Mhm.
out in a couple of weeks. It's fantastic. It's
Thank you.
really heavy, and it got your unique vocals that gives it a certain rock context. Also, if I can say it like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't sing metal vocals. I would if I could, but you're only given the voice you're born with. I can't do the screaming kind of stuff. It just doesn't work with my voice. So I do the best with what I was born with.
But you got a very versatile voice, a voice that works very well in different contexts, so to say.
Thank, thank you. Yeah, I think it works best with the when I'm doing the Sinatra stuff. That's where it fits. That's where it feels the most pure, and I'm not forcing it. That's the most natural sound for me.
The Sinatra stuff is pretty awesome, and I'd later like to talk a little bit about because you just mentioned the Sinatra band. But the new record, when did you start working on it, the new Tremonti record?
Um, Probably about a lot of the songs have been around. A lot of ideas I have, I keep kind of logged. But as far as organizing the record, it was about a year ago. It took a couple months just piecing the album, putting it together, and then another couple months recording it. But some of the ideas could be years old.
How do you keep your ideas? Do you write, like, do you record them on an iPhone while on tour, some riffs and licks, or?
I organize all my stuff on GarageBand on my laptop. I just use the external mic on a computer, and I log what type of idea it is, if it's a verse, if it's a riff, if it's a chorus, if it's a bridge. I tap tempo it, so I tell myself what tempo it's in, what tuning it's in. If it's in a 6/8 time or 4, just so if I have a song that needs a riff or needs a verse or needs a chorus, I can go to my files and find, many ideas to choose from.
That's a very good, very organized approach because
Yeah,
some people have like 20,000 riffs on their iPhone and they have to wade
yeah.
through them. And it's
Oh
probably a
yeah.
torture if you keep it like that.
Oh yeah. It's good to get organized for sure.
So would you say you're a good archivist of your own material in that sense?
I Yes, I think I think if I wasn't organized, I wouldn't be able to get anything done. And but if somebody were to look at my files, I don't think they could make heads or toes. I don't think they could tell what I was doing. I think I came up with my own language when it comes to organizing my ideas and my own way to filter through stuff as quickly as possible. Because there's nothing worse than going, oh, I have this one riff, I have to find it. Now I can just say, all right, riffs. I have maybe 10 riff files. Each riff file might have 40 riffs on there, and I'll have to and I can go directly to if I need 110 beats per minute, I'll look anywhere from 100 to 120 beats per minute to find something that fits. And if it's in some weird tuning, I'll know I can't use that. But I tell myself how fast it is, tuning it's in, and how much I like it and what the mood is. So when I'm searching, I can find it relatively quickly.
Okay, how much you like it, you already give it like a rating system so you know,
Yeah.
okay, these are the best ones, these are the not so good or the less ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have there's little symbols in GarageBand that you can put on the very far left of your track. Um, I think if you can control click the little symbol, you can choose from all these different icons, avatars or icons, and I'll have certain ones that tell me what are the best, the medium, and the weakest ones. And if I go back to a weak one to check it out and it doesn't speak to me at all, I'll just erase it.
Hmm. I mean, you have a lot of different projects, but your guitar playing is always unmistakably you. So how do you know which project you're writing for? I mean, you could probably use a Tremonti riff if it's not like extremely heavy, also for alter bridge and vice versa. So how do you organize that?
Um, the speed metal stuff won't work for Alter Bridge or Creed, so I know that goes to Tremonti. Um, if I write a melody um, melody to me is the most important thing. So if I write a melody that I don't feel good singing, I feel like it has more potential if somebody else were to sing it. That's when it'll either be a Alter Bridge or a Creed idea. Alter Bridge is more atmospheric and experimental and progressive. I think Creed is more straightforward and um, anthemic sometimes, So like I said, I have to kind of intuitively know where they should go.
Hmm. When you record and when you compose guitar solos, now walking away from the riffs but coming to the solo part, what's the most important thing for you in a guitar solo?
Um, that it's fun to play. Um, Feels good under my fingers. It tells a little story. It's a good way to have a song within a song. It needs to be emotive in some kind of way, unless it's some shreddy thing that happens over a speed metal song that just wants to blaze the whole time. I want it to. Some of those solos are less dynamic, but I like to, for the most part, make solos more as dynamic and tell as much of a story as possible without, um, you know, carried by, put as much melody in it and technique as along the way.
Hmm. In the different projects, you play different roles, and I suspect the most demanding must be fronting and playing guitar at the same time. Also, like touring in winter when there's colds going on. Plus, you have to juggle between the complex guitar parts and the vocals. So, yeah, how is
Yeah,
it for you? Like,
it's tough. I think the toughest part about being a singer is, well, two things. Always being paranoid about being sick, catching a cold or speaking too much. Um, that's always on your mind. I'm always drinking tea and trying to sleep as much as I can and drink as much water as I can and being paranoid as hell when somebody's coughing around me. Um, the other thing is not only the singing and the performing, but the talking, but being the presenter of your music and talking to the crowd, and that kind of stuff is harder than you think. You can't practice that at home. You only can do that in front of people. So who knows what I'll say on the next tour. And that stuff kind of happens naturally. It's not something you can really plan in advance.
So is it sometimes when you go back from a tour being the frontman, is it sometimes like a relief just being the guitar player and just standing there and being responsible for the riffs and soli?
Absolutely. In between songs, you can go drink some beer or whatever it is, not have to talk, It's definitely, it makes me appreciate the frontman role that much more when I do it and I get to see Scott or Miles do it. It definitely takes a lot of pressure off when you don't have to be that frontman.
Mm-hmm. The end will show us how. Can you talk a bit about how the title came about?
Well, I went into the record not knowing what I was going to call it. And then a lot of records that I've written had obvious titles, like Dying Machine. I knew that was going to be the name of that record. Marching in Time, I knew that was going to be the name. I didn't have one for this record, so I went through all the lyrics, read every line, and I came across The End Will Show Us How. I was like, all right, that's a thought-provoking line. And after I saw that, I went back through the lyrics and I tried to put as much of the end as I could in this record. Like if you listen throughout the lyrics, there's always references to the end throughout the record. But the meaning behind it is the ending is the great clarifier. It is when you will know if your decisions you've made in life are correct or you should have chosen the different route. So it's the only way to really know if you're making the right decisions is in the end, when you look back and everything's clear. It's like I said, it's the most eye-opening, awakening moment you can have is the very end, when you see all your consequences for all your actions.
What is your lyrical process, your process as a lyricist when working on such a project?
On this record, it was very stream of consciousness. I tried to write, when I was doing demos, I tried to write the lyrics very fast. I tried to say, okay, I'm recording in an hour. I need to finish these lyrics in an hour. So I'd hustle my way through them. And then after you record the demo, listen back, and if anything rubs you wrong, you can change it. But most of these lyrics, I wrote in the moment. I wrote them very fast. I got them done quickly. And I thought I'd revisit them. When I heard them, I'm like, no, that's how I felt. That's how I feel. These lyrics feel right to me. When I did a interview for the biography for the record before it came out, the gentleman who did it said, you've become a better lyricist. And I was like, well, maybe that stream of consciousness works better than overthinking stuff. Sometimes when you overthink stuff, it's not as earnest. It's not as believable. So I think that top of your head, spit it out kind of thing works for me.
Does it also sometimes apply to the side of a composer, that not overthinking is great and just go with the flow? Or
sometimes, I think everything has its place. I couldn't have done this on the Dying Machine record because that was a concept record, and I really had to spend a ton of time on the lyrics on that one. Not to say that that's any better or any worse, but it's sometimes it's good to overthink a song, if not over, but really dig into a song if it's going to be more of a progressive song or something that's a little more planned out, but I think there should be a good balance between the off the cuff things that just kind of happen and the ones that take a minute. I think every record's has those songs that just happen immediately and have those songs that take a little while. Like the title track of this record, The End Will Show Us How, it took a little doing. It took a little bit to put together. It didn't just fall into place because it's a different tuning. It's a unique tuning, and it has a lot of parts. I had a lot of parts put together for this song that I didn't want to lose, so I had to come up with an arrangement that didn't feel long but included everything I wanted to say in the song.
Mm-hmm. Let's quickly talk guitars a bit. When I have a
Mhm.
year, I have to talk about that, of course. I mean, you famously play PRS guitars, as does your bandmate Miles Kennedy, who's also a nice signature model out.
Mhm.
What drew you to PRS guitars for metal?
I worked at a guitar. Well, I worked at a guitar shop for about a month in college, and they had a few PRSs in there, and they were just the best guitars they had in the shop. We weren't even allowed to touch them. I snuck a few plays on it, on the guitars they had, and ever since then I wanted one. And then I had my guitar stolen once when we were on tour. Somebody stole our van, and they stole all of our stuff, so we got an insurance claim, and I bought a PRS with the insurance money. And then, luckily enough, PRS reached out to me after and asked me if I'd like to check out some of their guitars. And I told them I bought one of your guitars, but I don't play it on stage because it's not set up the way I need for a stage performance. So they kept on sending me guitars, and I was like, I like it, but it's just not, it's not me yet. So finally, after sending back and forth 3 or 4 guitars, I said, well, why don't we just design your own guitar? And that's when I started this, designing the signature guitar, and now it's my favorite guitar. It's I got them sitting all around here.
Yeah, that's cool. Would you say you brought a little bit of a Les Paul into the whole thing in your model? Like brought the good
Yeah,
sides of a Les Paul into your own signature?
yeah. I mean, I grew up on a Les Paul, so it's a single cutaway. Um, it's contour different than a Les Paul. The neck is different, but it's the same layout as far as the pickup selector switch where it's at, and the tone controls and the volume controls. That was important for me to be able to play on the fly live. The 5-way switches that some of the other guitars had just don't work for me live. So little by little, we got it to exactly what I wanted, and I love the neck carve. I love the pickups. We went through, I don't know how many pickups before we came up with the right ones, but I love those as well. The only thing that we keep on updating are new finishes, and the tuners change over the years, but the overall feel of it just stays pretty similar. I never want it to be like, oh, you should buy the old guitars because they were better. That happens with a lot of companies. They made them better back then. Hopefully, we're always making the best we can at any given moment.
You got to tell me because we don't have much time left, but you got to tell me about the Sinatra thing. How is it like to play with those guys?
I love it. I just had a show last night, and it was it's. I always look forward to. I always say those are my. That's my favorite thing to do. The Sinatra shows. They're so important to me. We're always raising money for the Down syndrome community, doing all the shows for to raise funds, and I want to start putting together volume 2 of the album. So this month I'll be doing 5 or 6 shows in the next couple of weeks with the guys, and it's probably what I look forward to more than anything else.
Yeah, hey then, thanks so much for taking the time. It was really a
Thank
pleasure
you.
talking to you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you. Have a great day, man.
All right. You
Bye.
too, man. Bye
Thanks. Bye.
bye.